Now, you told us that you were an executive secretary at the time you got hurt. You also were doing, you were a hairdresser.
I still had my license. I just wasn't in a salon. I was doing hair on the side.
Talk to me about your job as an executive secretary before you got hurt.
I worked for a local board of realtors, and I was the secretary to the CEO and the administrative assistant. So the board of realtors would have kind of in-house reviews of people who did things real estate wise improperly. So I was in charge of taking notes during those meetings and notifying people when to come to those meetings. I did scheduling. Anytime the chief executive officer had a letter that he needed to go out, I took dictation and I typed that, and I worked on the computer, and I worked with the administrative assistant. I worked with her the closest, and I guess I helped her the most. It was very detailed work. I don't remember it real clearly, but I do remember that it was very detailed. I had to keep a what's called a tickler file, old tech, 3x5 cards to tell me what to do each day, to make sure there was so many progresses through everything I had to do.
How many years did you work for them?
Okay, let me go backwards. So the accident was in 1986, and I was working there at the time, and I met my husband in 1982, and I was working there when I met my husband, so maybe 4 years.
How had your job changed from the time you were 20 to the time you were 24?
When I started working for the Board of Realtors, I was attending college at night, and I was a full-time hairdresser. I was a full-time hairdresser going to college at night, and I met someone who worked for the Board of Realtors, and I had said I wanted a more secure job, and that's why I was going to college. And she said, oh, I work for the Board of Realtors, why don't you come, and we're hiring data processors. And I said, I don't know anything about that. And she said, we'll do on-the-job training. So that's where I started, was at data processing. And that's where I sat in a cubicle. And when a realtor was putting their house that they had for sale on the market, I would get the listing and I would put onto the computer all the details of each home.
I would call that the MLS.
Yeah, very much, the MLS. And so I did that until probably the late fall of 1985, maybe summer of 85. And then I moved into the executive secretary position.